input or public hearing? You're on the agenda, so you don't need to.
Okay, that's why I looked, I didn't know if you were on. Three, okay.
Okay, at 6:30, we'll call the meeting to order, begin with roll call. Councilperson Bendel. Here. Councilperson Baskey. Here. Councilperson Light. Here. And Councilperson Hohenhouse is absent. We'll stand and say the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're gonna go to our public hearing first, because that's set for 6:30.
Make a motion to open public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to open a public hearing, and we'll vote. Councilperson Light.
Yes.
Councilperson Baskey.
Yes.
Councilperson Bendel.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a public hearing for 2025 pump house improvements, including the plans, specifications, form of contract, and the opinion of the estimated total cost of public improvements described thereby for the 2025 pump house improvements project. These are in the packet for you.
Okay.
No, sorry, it's not in the packet. Matt is not here this evening, however, the pump house plan specifications were left at the previous meeting, and we did not have anyone come in to review the pump house improvements, nor did we have any email or call in for the public hearing this evening.
Okay.
I don't have any concern.
Have a motion to close the public hearing.
I have a motion to close the public hearing on the pump house specs.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to close the public hearing, we'll vote. Councilperson Baskey.
Yes.
Councilperson Light.
Yes.
Councilperson Bendel.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go on to public input.
We have a second public
Yeah.
hearing for the budget amendment.
Oh, okay, I'm
The
sorry.
next B.
I would make a motion to enter into public hearing for fiscal year 2025 budget amendment number 1.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to hear the public hearing for item budget amendment number 1. We will vote. Councilperson Light.
Yes.
Councilperson Bendel.
Yes.
Councilperson Baskey.
Yes.
Okay, so this public hearing is for fiscal year 25 budget amendment number 1. Initially, we should probably be doing a budget amendment every month or every other month or quarterly, according to Maggie, so that we do not have this many of the amendments all on one, just in case there's further questions. I can go through these line by line. I know you've had the packet for a couple weeks now, regarding the budget amendment. The majority of these, the debt service, it was placed on the wrong account line. The TIF rebates obviously necessitate an amendment, and we have previously had those discussions in council, regarding the Quick Stop memos. The general government, we had geothermal repair, and there was a Scribner error, which simply means that on this system where this happened, basically, once you go in and you type on a line, some of the lines are added together, so I made an error when you add those together, and it did not add the second one. So everything that you have received within our budget workshops last year, all the paperwork that you received, all of that information was correct. It's simply in the one spot here on the actual budget that is in the budget finder here. That is the one that was marked over, so that would be for that one. The park equipment, this is one that we discussed previously, before the purchase of the park equipment, where the funds for the $42,000 match grant were transferred into the general fund to cover the full cost of that equipment. Same thing with the public works rut expenses were inadvertently typed over, which was the same correction. I actually, when talking to my mentor about this, she says it does happen, unfortunately, probably frequently. She was surprised that because we do have expenses and they were there last year for rut, she's surprised that the state did not catch that, but when we went through it, we did. So we're fixing that one. And then the fire, which was approved at the budget meeting number 3, there was increase for fire stipend pay that was not included on that line item for fire. So that is for this budget amendment. I also included the memo that just restates exactly what I just told you. We are still working, I know the geothermal expense, $17,000. We are still working with the state because there's possible rebates for geothermal. That is not a very easy process to go through. And
What's the enterprise, the stormwater?
yes, so this one was each year in the budget, which was in our budget worksheets. We just plan if there is some type of capital improvement or a repair that would need to be made for stormwater. For the past 2-3 years, they've just put $25,100 there in the capital line. It was not expended and it has not been expended, at least for the past 3 years when I brought it up. But it was in our budget, and Teresa and I had talked about that, and she said that we should probably have that in there, since it was in the initial presented budget. So that is not an expense, it is just there for storm sewer capital project if we were to have a repair.
Just for this fiscal year.
Well, it's been in the budget probably the past 3 fiscal years for just if we have something.
Nice.
The capital projects that is listed there, I think I've already talked to you about this as well. Last year during budget season in March, we were unsure if the final payment for the dump truck would need to be made in last year's fiscal year or this year's fiscal year. It did get delivered before the June 30th date, so we did pay for it out of last year. So the $132,000 that was on the capital project line item for vehicles has now been decreased to $132,000 because that's already been paid.
So that's storm sewer though, that's on the storm sewer category, not the wastewater sewer, right?
Correct. And it is part of the enterprise though, Jeff. So on that question that you're asking with the spreadsheet that I included there, if you look at the last page, the very last page, I think it's page 14 of the spreadsheet that I included. Oh, it was in the email. I probably didn't do that. It was included in the email, and each one of those is tabbed out. You can see it's under the storm sewer. 30,000 for this one is the stormwater here, 25-1 for stormwater.
Okay.
And then this is just separate for sewer. So this last year, I believe, the water one for capital projects, the previous
This
year
is
was
this
the
is This is
acidization.
the addition. This is
Yes.
what we're at. Okay, that's fine, that makes sense.
Did you guys wanna see this too?
That was
I
in the
think it's
email.
attached in the email.
Yeah.
Did you wanna see it?
Yeah.
So there was like 14 pages behind this budget amendment explaining them in the spreadsheet. So then this one right here for the line item. So basically, I don't know if you guys know this, but what the spreadsheet is I took the entire DOM site, Teresa did, and we basically plugged it in, so it's identical. So that as I go through and start doing budget amendments, those would actually show exactly what the difference is in the middle. So that should match then when I go in and check the DOM site. Just as another, so I don't have errors. Other questions for the budget amendment?
I don't have anything else. You have any input?
No input?
I'll motion to close the hearing for fiscal year 25 budget amendment number 1.
Been moved to second, or moved and seconded to close that public hearing for budget item number 1. We'll vote Councilperson Light,
Yes.
Councilperson Basky,
Yes.
Councilperson Bendel.
Yes.
Okay. Now we go on to public input.
Do you wanna go ahead with the consent agenda probably
yeah.
and then move to your?
Here's the agenda.
I did go ahead, just with the consent agenda before there's a motion. This year, because Matt Johnson, our city engineer, mentioned that the SUDAS is adopted annually based on changes, so you would know if you've been here. He told me, recommended that something like that is okay to probably put under the consent agenda since I sent you those ahead of time. And then I sent you the red line over so that you could review the changes if you had any questions, so that's why that's on the consent agenda.
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. We'll vote Councilperson Light,
Yes.
Councilperson Basky,
Yeah.
Councilperson Bendel.
Yes.
Okay. Now we can go on to public input. Jim Andrews.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'm concerned about the buying of the track loader for the city. Is it a want or is it a need? No, he's got a big loader down there. Is that loader used to its full capacity or is it just used to load salt and mix sand with? No, he's sitting there, what he's going to look at is only about a half or a third the size of what he already has. But is the loader fully utilized? He's also got that mini backhoe down there, that's got a blade on it presumably, if it needs anything to clean up around the excavation site. You use that little blade to push in dirt, pile it up, use on the big loader. Now, my understanding is that you're going to take money from 3 different accounts to pay for this. Am I right or am I wrong?
We're actually going to only take it from 2 accounts now because the bid came in considerably less
Okay.
than what it initially
So,
came in at.
now that we're borrowing money from these 2 accounts, how's that money gonna be repaid back into those accounts? Are we gonna keep borrowing money out of these accounts to the point where there's no money left, and when we need to upgrade a project, there's no money to do it, and then we gotta pass a bond issue? Have you thought about leasing, day leasing, short-term leasing? You lease by the year instead of buy. If you lease, you've cut down on a lot of the maintenance problems. You may have to pay for the oil change and that, but major breakdowns are covered on the lease, so that you don't have that. It's actually better than having a warranty. And then when you're done with it after 6 months or whatever, if you have a 1-year lease, you turn it back in. If you need to get it another time, you get another lease. Have you checked at other places to lease, rent, or buy?
They sent out bids.
Huh?
They sent bids.
You said bid, but how many places? What places did you take it to? Did you take it to the big name live places? Did you send it to the smaller places too that make them? There's a dozen different places out there that make these. Did you just stay with Bobcat, Case, and Deere? Or did you go to Mustang, some other?
Jennifer can probably dig it up and give it to you.
Yeah, I actually have it right here. Yes, we did, we actually, I can't even pronounce it. We put it out to Deere, we put it out to, Caterpillar, we put it out to Manitou, Deere, Manitou, Takeuchi, thank you, and Caterpillar, and we did get bids back for all 4. And yes, we did also explore the option for renting and leasing. So at over $2,000 to rent the skid loader or track loader,
We
when
can
we
cover that all
started,
when we talk about it.
yeah,
Let's not get
Okay.
into it now. Thank you for your input.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay. We can do item H. Oh, wait a minute, you said under Matt's suggestion, are we going to consider a resolution under item G under the consent agenda?
We already approved it.
Yeah, okay, so everything's included on that then. Okay. Looks like Public Works has a written report, building inspector has a written report, no report for the city clerk, none for the mayor, and library update. Library and Parks and Rec update, I guess, so is there a report for that?
We had one for, yes, Public Works, Library, Parks, and the city engineer.
Okay.
Did you want me to share any of that? I think everybody had it.
I saw it.
Okay. We'll go on to old business. Item A, property at 318 Wood Street West, use C2 zoning district.
Okay, this is bringing back property 318 on Wood Street for the zoning. Brian Halstead is here this evening. Brian, I don't know if you want to share a little bit about your property.
Do you guys have any questions about it or concerns?
Well, you talked to me earlier on the phone about the sidewalk and stuff in front, or cutting something down for a ramp.
Well, yeah, and I have talked to the city engineer. I guess the first thing we need to talk about is I'd like to put a garage door on the one side of that building,
Facing Main Street.
facing Main Street.
For purpose?
Just so I can get stuff in and out easier on a door. I mean, it's just make that building more accessible for me.
And we have looked at some other business. I know there's a lot in Cedar Rapids that are doing that, especially down in Czech Village. A lot of business are going to where they have an interest store, but they have a door they can open. Is this something you plan on leaving open all the time you're open during the summertime, or?
It could be, I mean, I don't know exactly 100% what I'm doing with it for the whole run of it. I got a purpose for it for a little bit, and I might be changing it to something else. I mean, I got a pizza place in Benton, we're putting a glass door in. We were supposed to have it in last week. Well, it's coming in, hopefully. The ice storm got delayed, so we'll put it in next week.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, a lot of buildings are doing it. There's no structural part there. It's just literally putting a garage door. Because the header's there, everything's there. And that way this will come in off my side. I'll be at the same level as my sidewalk coming into my floor.
Okay.
So,
I have a question. So, well, on your garage door, are you going with like a full size or is it more like a roll-up man door?
it is, I think, 8 by 10.
Okay, so
It's 8 foot wide. It goes from pillar to pillar because if you guys look at my building, it has a window, then it has my new glass door, and then another window door. Just taking out that window.
Did I include this in the?
Yeah.
okay, so that definitely changes it. It's more of like a roll-up man door.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, do we have, I don't think we have anything in our ordinances that inhibits that from occurring, do we?
No.
And
Not at
there's nothing that would prevent the permit from being issued to do that.
Correct, other than I did explain to Brian that I did need to bring it to a council meeting because our current, building inspector is resigning in March, so he's not taking new building permits, and approving building permits is not something I do, so.
Right.
So I think Brian had just mentioned, since he was unsure yet on full use of the building, he kind of discussed breaking it down in phases, and the first phase that he mentioned was the door. And so he wanted to start with the door.
What kind of equipment are you gonna be pulling that out of then?
Well, like I said, I haven't 100%, but more of like a roll cart at this time for taking in like chemical container. So I'd like to start up a can redemption there at the beginning of the use of the building for a while. Because I have one in West Union. So we use these, they call them what, the CDD?
The poly tanks?
Poly tanks, roll them in and out.
Okay.
So you fill those full of glass and then the distributor takes them out. But even at that point, that front door is only a 28-inch door, I think. So if you were trying to get, you can't even get refrigerators in it if I wanted to bring a refrigerator in there. It's just for more general use of that building because it's not a flat floor. When that building goes all the way to the back 6 stalls, it's 4 foot. There's a 4 foot drop, 4 foot of steps. So it's just to access. It's, I have 2 jet boats. I might have my 2 jet boats sitting there, So it's just general use of the building.
Well, it's good to see something's gonna happen in that building.
Yeah, I guess I don't really have any concerns with it, allowing the permit to move forward as long as, I think we can make sure that work done is inspected accordingly at some capacity. I don't know if we need to, that's probably on us to make sure we have something to come back and inspect it to make sure it's.
Well, like I said, I'm not trying to, I'm not putting the header, so it's no structural. So like even in the town of Benton, the city inspector, when we're putting the garage door in our pizza places, because it's already pre-existing header, he's like, I didn't even need a pull permit. He said, just do it.
Yeah,
So it's kind of gets into that non-structural, but I'm willing to let, when you guys get a building inspector in place or something to come on in,
header's already there, you're just cutting out the base.
Yeah, cutting out just cutting out 5 rows of brick and that's it.
So when do you plan on doing this, Brian?
It should be as soon as next week.
On your permit that you filled out, you said a 10 by 10 door?
Yeah.
Is it an 8 by 10 or is it a 10 by 10?
Could be 10 by 10, I guess, or,
Okay, before you begin, if
I
it
can-
is
I can
approved,
remeasure
I need
it.
to know that before, because what the council will approve needs to be what is on this permit. So if it's
Let's
10 by
go-
10 or 8 by 10.
let's go
we'll-
with 10 by 10 then, if it's an 8 by 10, then it's underneath that. Or put both in, I guess I don't know the measurement between those two pillars.
You already have the door? You don't have the door?
The door's sitting with the other door for my pizza place in transportation, I guess you could say.
So does the council have an issue with the size of the door then?
No. I don't.
I mean, like I said, unless there was some sort of requirement as to how close it could, I don't know.
I looked through the ordinance when I could online and stuff, and there wasn't one that I could see.
There's not one.
Yeah, as long as you're not, reducing the integrity of the pillar there between you and the other building, I don't know what the size of the door would matter. So I don't have any problem with that.
So we need to have a vote to approve this then?
I mean, I would just say maybe a motion, since it is coming to the council for approval. Because I have not done that before, it's not really
Yeah, it would just be
I think
just a
it's
simple motion to
yeah.
approve building permit submitted.
Yeah,
By Brian.
permits and all.
I motion to approve.
Okay.
And second?
Been moved and second to approve that, property, change there at 318 West, or 318 Wood Street West. And we'll vote. Councilperson Light?
Yep.
Councilperson Basky?
Yes.
Councilperson Bendel?
Yes.
So I'll probably see maybe next month with more of a plan on what I want to do inside, if that's fair enough. Will you be?
Did you take this with you when you were here previously, your permit, or did I keep that?
I think you can, so if you want me to just come in tomorrow, we'll just get it paid for and stuff.
Sure.
You be up front or you have meetings?
I actually don't even have that in front of me right now. I think we should be good. Or
Okay.
if you can text me ahead of time, that
Sure,
would be great.
I can do that. Thanks, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to new business then. Item A, consider resolution 2025-82 to approve.
Talk about property 300.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, so.
okay, I'm sorry.
The property at 300 North Union, actually, another interested business owner, called in and asked some questions regarding this property. I sent you an email, I also sent you the map. I don't believe, there was a very lengthy response from our city engineer explaining several of the questions that he had regarding the intention that if he were to purchase the property, what he would like to do. I think I mentioned, he has the idea to possibly parcel that in either 1 acre or similar to, and I think it's almost 5 acres up here. And so he was just wanting to get a couple of those questions answered if he were to do that. He's hoping to attract more businesses to town and feels like this could provide an area for light industrial, and that he would be doing the work on that property that maybe is keeping other people from purchasing it. So I'm not sure now, since the engineer was able to get back to him a pretty lengthy response, I'm not sure that we have much to discuss yet until he was to come back, or maybe he will purchase it, yes.
Yeah, I think Matt's email was pretty clear that we need to understand his position on
Yes.
those points, and if he likes if we can come to some sort of agreement, then we can move forward with discussions.
everything fell in the ordinance with first course foot and all that stuff in the very care. So we got to like this one. So this is M1.
Yes, and I think that the potential business person was pleased with the responses. It certainly didn't shy him away, and he just said that he would be getting back to me. And I told him I would just keep the council updated on it.
Be good to see something happen there.
Yes.
Okay. Now we'll move on to new business then. Item A, consider resolution 2025-82 to approve the first budget amended fiscal year 25.
Okay, so this is actually just a resolution for the public hearing, so that would be for the first budget amendment for FY '25, and it's 2025-82.
I would make a motion to approve resolution 2025-82 to approve the first budget amendment for fiscal year 25.
I'll second that.
Been moved and second to approve, resolution 2025-82. We will vote, Councilperson Bendel,
Yes.
Councilperson Light,
Yes.
Councilperson Vasky.
Yes.
Item B, memo budget transfers, number 3, fiscal year 2025, and consider resolution 2025-87, budget transfer, number 3 for fiscal year 2025.
Okay, so this may need, an amendment with a motion with a possible change. Jeff did send this and I did not catch it, before tonight, but because the track loader came in at, can somebody help me, did it come in at 62,000?
62, yeah.
I do not believe that we will need to now do the budget transfer from the sewer fund for the 20, because once we do the transfer of the previously sold equipment that we closed the account for, that's the 7,487, we talked about putting that into the general fund and closing that account at the bank. That gives us the 40,000 from RUT, which was discussed during the capital planning, and the 20,000 from storm sewer, which gets us to a total of 67,487, and obviously there will be a little bit of change there since it came in at 62.
So I have two thoughts. I think this resolution should be approved after we decide to buy the track loader or not. And I don't like the idea of using the storm sewer fund for this at all. Like that to me wasn't the intent of bumping up that fee. It was more to allow us dollars to improve our storm sewer in the city, not to buy it. That's my opinion. I'd rather use the sewer or
Okay.
use or RUT, the difference in the RUT.
Okay.
I agree. I don't know that we can do it out of order. I feel like, we don't even know. We haven't gotten to the part of purchasing the skid loader for sure yet, so
So should we skip
So
to
can we
the
skip-
track loader
Mhm.
item?
that for now.
So instead of doing B, go to C? Is that what I'm following?
Yeah.
That's my
Okay, so we're gonna move on to item C then, consider resolution 2025-88 for the award of the track loader.
I mean, I know Jeff, you sent an email asking me about a few different questions on why. I think he did answer quite a few of those, but I'm kind of in the, I mean, if we're gonna get some type of purchase out of the, utility vehicle like this, you know, what are we doing with the stuff that we were using now? I mean, what are we using, we have a tractor, you know, that backhoe that, can that be used for some of that stuff? You know, I guess that's my concern.
My understanding is the
I don't know, forward that, but,
the backhoe or the mini hoe is not, blade on the front doesn't really lend itself to tight spaces or steep spaces.
I got, I get that.
And the end motor is just too big for a lot of that right-of-way maintenance projects. Maneuverability, it's tight spaces, that's my take on that, but I do have, you know, Jennifer, maybe you would provide some detail on the other avenues, research whether leasing was researched or.
Leasing, no, but renting, yes. So at about,
Long-term, sorry to interrupt you, but long-term rent or day, kind of day?
I would have to ask Trent that. The $2,000 was where we came in. One of the things that I was thinking about was I had made a recommendation for one of the tractor mowers and it should not have been used for that particular job and it broke the blade, which was like $2,000. Which was another good point that had we rented it, we would also be in big trouble with that one. But the track loader, the 2,000, I believe was, I don't know. I don't know if that's the daily or the weekly, which is why we put together a list of some of the, based on our capital planning and some of the projects that were coming up. When Jeff asked, I did put in here that initially just responding to him, the assisting with the water storage pump house with the road reinforcement for West Main Street. Assisting, we have a big playground equipment haul and install for Crossing Park. We could barely use the, I don't even know, is it called a mini skid loader? The other skid loader, is it a mini skid loader?
T100.
Okay. We were using that at Crossing Park when we were pulling out equipment there and it could barely do some of that work. But we did assist in the contractor that was doing the demo because otherwise it would go longer and he would have to go back and get the other one. We have assist in the pollinator garden grading that's going to happen at the property of Union and Wood. The grading at well 3 accommodate the pump truck access well, hydrant and valve excavations in the ditch along 150. And these are all upcoming within the next year and a half. Right-of-way maintenance along 30th Avenue, West Main, and Maple Street. And the fact that the bid did come in considerably lower for the one that we did end up picking at $62,000. We did think that it renders purchasing our own piece of equipment for this work and work beyond a year and a half from now. And now I can't remember the other questions that were asked during public input.
There was a question regarding, the
The
bids.
funds?
The bid, the funds, the bid, smaller outfits that have potentially cheaper bids, I don't know who that would be.
I mean, vendors you went to are generally the main dealers in the area.
Yeah, and we did try and get, the various vendors, but more so looking at the, manufacturer to make sure that we had a good pull from the manufacturing. The other thing that was in here, I felt that when I reviewed the specs sheets that went out to the bidders, I feel like this was extremely thorough in, what was sent out. And so I do believe that when it came back for one of the bidders came back, considerably lower than the others, I feel like we did do our due diligence in that.
Now, is this the state bid call? Or is this the,
These went to local bidders.
Local bidders.
okay. But does these local bidders award state bids for something like this? Well, like they do on vehicles?
I don't know the answer to that.
I would have, I don't know if you followed up with that. It came from the cities, so sometimes they do, sometimes they recognize it, sometimes they don't. I guess you would have to call each vendor and double check.
I don't know the answer to that.
I'm not
I
sure.
can
I guess, yeah.
I
So,
know, I'm
so a lot
not.
of times, some of those vendors will get awarded from the states to help with cities' costs.
So I've heard that like with the generators and the
Yes.
vehicles, but I have not heard that with this
For
type
general
of equipment,
equipment.
so I would definitely have to reach out to someone
One of the
about
questions
that.
I had.
The other question, Jim, I'm not sure, wasn't it a funding question about paying back the fund?
Yeah, and if you're
So-
gonna borrow money out of one fund to pay for this, or out of two funds, how are you going to pay that money back? Or are you just gonna drop it? I mean, years back, we also had a surcharge on the sewer and water. And all of a sudden it disappeared because the city decided to borrow money from it and never replenish it. So, what is it, storm sewer and sanitary sewer you're gonna borrow money from or transfer money from?
It would be from the road use tax,
Alright,
and it would be from sewer fund.
alright, so now you got the two that you're gonna take the money from.
Right.
And anytime you have a sewer project, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars, a major one, hundreds of thousands. So if you take 30,000 out of there, you better be putting it back and figuring out how you're gonna put it back before too long. And on your street project, I don't see where the city's gonna be building any streets or rebuilding, they're going to be maintaining them. I'm not too worried about that, because that's federal money there, basically, isn't it, that comes from the streets?
State,
Gas tax, tire tax.
state,
So,
and that,
that will come back, but not right away, but I don't see you planning on doing any heavy street projects.
so we do actually have a heavy street project, it's in our capital improvement plan for this fiscal year 26. The city has been saving in the road use so that they can pay cash for projects. So right now, the fiscal year project that's coming up for Bing Miller is estimated at $203,000. The road use tax fund has been saved up over $300,000 so that the city doesn't have to borrow money and that we can use those funds for this
alright.
purpose.
Alright,
So we do, and when you say that, it doesn't come back soon, just so you understand, the road use tax is actually based on population. So the city gets approximately $200,000 to $210,000 in revenue for the road use tax that comes in from the state. So although we will be spending $40,000, which is what the equipment purchases is for with that fund as well, streets, equipment, maintenance, like you just said. So I think the city has done their due diligence in saving dollars in that fund so that they can pay cash for a capital
Okay.
project coming up, as well as for equipment to assist in some of these big projects so that our guys can do the work.
Okay, so now we go over to the sewer side of it.
I understand what you're saying, Jim. We understand that it's basically if you pull money out of that fund, right, we're gonna have, it doesn't come from thin air. We're paying that, we're replenishing that, so we have to consider that. Thank you for your input, I understand. So I think, as a council, we need to,
I got,
no, I understand.
well, no, what I wanna ask you is, does Trent have anything in his budget for equipment replacement, equipment maintenance? is he able to do that from year to year, to set aside money for purchase of equipment?
Trent doesn't necessarily do that himself.
Well, I know, but.
That's done through the council, and they just did this very in-depth planning of the capital improvement plan for equipment and things within the next 5 years. So anything from Public Works or any other area in the city, not just Public Works, all of that was presented to the council. Over 20-some projects and equipment presented to council to prioritize over the next 5 years.
Okay.
So-
So it is a long-term planning effect.
Yes,
on it.
there is long-term planning that's gone into
Okay.
this.
Yeah, I mean, I, generally speaking, I have the same concern about, leasing options. I felt like we leased that end loader and ended up buying it out of the lease.
I think the end loader was bought off of produce tax.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I'm about 99% sure on that.
Yeah, it's a big spend and I mean, it's not, I feel like there's definitely use for it, and if you had it in your equipment inventory, it would get used a lot. But it is an ongoing maintenance cost.
Well, and I think so too, and another project I'd like to see them do, as long as they got a couple of them pieces of equipment, would be to clean up this area along, Sunset there with the cattails and stuff in there like they did on Ash Avenue. And with that equipment, that can be done too, so.
I know they've ran into issues renting, it's a timing thing, there's a lot of issues with, if you've got work you wanna do or you need to do, getting the equipment lined up, in the time frame that you wanna do it, and the days that you need to do it, from what I understand, is a challenge.
I think it'll continue to be an ongoing challenge to us,
Yeah,
things
Equipment
get bought
costs.
out from rentals, so.
$62,000 for a brand new machine, when your steel and aluminum costs are going up, basically by a minute.
Right.
I don't know that you're gonna find a bid that cheap, and leasing and renting may go up as well, so. Personally, I know it's a big spend, I'd rather, like to deal with what we got, but we know that as we continue to grow and as we add more area to the community, it's gonna be used. Most communities have them, I think.
okay,
So, I'll motion to approve the 2025-88 to award the track loader to Star.
do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve resolution 2025-88. We will vote. Councilperson Light,
Right.
Councilperson Basky,
Yes.
Councilperson Bendel.
Yes.
Item D, review the urban chicken permit application. Consider.
Can we go back to the,
Yeah, I think we need
let's
to.
go back to the
So,
funding resolution to pay
Yep, you got it.
Okay,
for the transfers. That was item D.
oh, okay.
Or, I'm sorry.
So if we have a nay on this bid, will this be, because we only have 3 members present this evening, are we going to table this because our bid will expire?
When does it expire?
I believe it's typically it's within
60 days, 60 or 30 days anyway.
I think it's
Article 4.2, doesn't count for the bid.
Two out of 5 though. But 2 out of 3 for today, is that where you're thinking?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I mean, we're approving consent
So-
agendas
let me just think about this, so we have.
We have 4 seats.
Right, so we still have 4 seats. A vacancy is considered a nay, and absence does not count. So we have, actually, we have 2 nay and 2 aye. So we have a 2-2, which does not pass, correct? So I do believe that this expires on 2/28, I believe is what I saw. 2/28, or excuse me. This says it could be anticipated delivered on 2/28, so that's not the expiration. I may have to, the bids came in, I believe, on the 29th, January 29th.
You should have 30.
Typically, they expire within 30 days,
30 to 60.
so I need to, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Well, I mean, yeah. That's fine. We'll table it. We can table it.
Okay, so the,
Table B and,
Yeah, table one.
table B, and,
And
well, I
C.
guess C is complete, but we can bring it back to another agenda, I guess,
Yeah.
if we wanna rediscuss it. I would, Jennifer, I would suggest getting a lease, if we could find out lease options, just for the sake of having that information handy, in case it helps shed light on costs.
Lease options and the time frame on lease.
Right.
okay, so I'm assuming then that we will not move forward with
With item B.
item B
Yeah,
either.
that would be, I think we could table that, technically,
Yeah, you
I
can
guess.
table that.
Or maybe it's considered.
So we're not gonna move up forward with item B.
The transfer.
Are we gonna table that, or?
Guess we,
Yeah, I think the two go
they're just
And
done.
together.
They're just done off the agenda. You can-
So now we set to go to D.
I think so.
Okay. Review urban chicken permit application, consider resolution 2025-92 to approve the city of Urbana to urban chicken permit application.
And I was not able to make those changes yet tonight that you.
They were-
um,
Yeah, they were just grammar, updates is all, the only other one was the back, so it said rear or backyard, and I thought we,
Can you tell me where that's at on here? So you said fix check item, update chicken hens.
so like right here, this one just and then, so it says 6 chickens, chicken hens,
And
should be in
chickens,
parentheses
paren
ahead.
hens.
And
right
then-
here, like right here, it says keeping chickens, that has is, that is. And then, for the location of the coop, it was, rear or backyard, and I thought I should say, rear or, side yard, because like, our, Stones and Eldreds have side yard, but not necessarily a backyard.
Right.
So as long as it's in the rear of your side yard, not in the front side of your house, I think that's kind of the way that they word that.
Where was that one too?
It's on the second.
On the back or?
I don't know if we should number these
Yeah, I wonder.
Or nothing.
And fenced enclosures permitted solely in the applicant's rear or back
Are you on
yard.
the front page,
It is.
Amanda?
Yeah. Yep. So it's like on the second half, if you. 6 down.
This one?
Right here. So,
Oh, gotcha.
that's up for discussion, I would say, if you, because there are a couple home, there's probably several houses where their backyard isn't big enough to meet the setback requirements.
Yeah, but the side yard it is, but it's not in their front yard. I mean, I would agree with that, yeah.
Rear side yard is the term.
I did have, I know, a response, Josh could not be here, the only response I got from him was, he said, yes, he believes that we should consider a one-time fee, at least minimum $25, could be a good number just to cover office fees to process it. So that was feedback from Josh since he couldn't be here.
Can I challenge that a little? Maybe, I mean, so what administratively are we expecting? Just logging that we have a permit? I mean, are you and the deputy clerk gonna go and inspect this, or are we just, I mean, like,
I don't know.
Well, we're gonna,
Well, that's what I would like to know. I think that he just means a fee, a one-time fee, just
Yeah.
like we do. We have a fence permit, we have a building permit, we have
Yeah,
pool permit, we have all of those permits. Obviously, I can't speak for Josh with, maybe he says office fee, meaning somebody has to go inspect all of this checklist front and back. And the compliance section, I'm assuming he may be referring to that. I'm not sure, since but I told him that I would share his comment.
yeah, theoretically, whoever submits the permit or application is providing a diagram that is true and accurate, and,
just like with your fence and all
I mean, the fences and a pool would be getting inspected by building inspector.
Well, essentially, this is inspected as well, right,
Yeah.
for compliance. I don't know what else you call it, but that's what we're calling it here, an inspection for the checklist, and then also an inspection for compliance. So I mean, I don't know if you wanna call it something different, but yes, I would like to know who's gonna go check the chickens. I don't mind that there's chickens, but
I'm just thinking under the compliance though, like, when I read through it, what I was thinking was it was kind of on a trust system, like here, you're telling us you have chickens, this is your diagram, this is where you're putting it. If we have complaints, we may go out and check it. We're not, I didn't read this to say, okay, we have a permit, we're going to send someone out, like our building permits, to actually physically go and look. We're not, I didn't think the intent was to physically go check this unless we had an issue. Am I,
That's kind of where I thought it was, just because we said we grant the right for the city to inspect my property, but it doesn't say that we will.
we will,
or
right?
that, we have to.
And my other issue is like, I mean, we don't have a permit for other animals, and we don't go and inspect how people are, what they're doing with their animals. Like, I don't know that.
no, but we
really-
do have people that walk around, but we do have people then that report, does so-and-so have chickens, but like, for building permit, per se, do we know if so-and-so took out a permit? And then when they don't, or somebody didn't take out a permit for a sign, then that's where you're saying that would be the city inspecting the property.
Or is that just a simple call and say, do you have chickens, did you know we have a permit process to go?
Is this building they're gonna put this coop skids? Is it gonna be like a post frame building or?
It's like, almost like a shed in some
Yeah,
respects.
it's pretty much-
They can, some of them do move, they have wheels that they, I don't know, pick your poison, I guess.
Yeah.
They're variable, but, so if they do move it, they have to tell us, based on what this said.
They have to move it every time if it's on wheels, they move it, they have to contact us?
Permit modification.
Yeah, if you're changing the location, I guess technically.
But my question is, if someone wants to put a shed up, you wanna buy a portable shed, you have to have a permit for that.
If it's over 120 square
Depending,
feet.
yeah.
Oh, just
it's
120,
over
okay.
Yeah.
Which
This
is-
would
this
be,
would not.
this would be.
Under that, okay, big dog house.
I mean, I'm not totally opposed to a one-time $25 fee, but I don't think it should be a permit renewal or
No,
permit modification.
I don't think he meant that.
It's just a one-time fee is what I thought in his comment.
Are you talking about
Josh's
Josh's?
feedback, he didn't ask, he just said.
Is it one time?
Initial permit application, I thought that's what he said.
He just said a suggestion should be a one-time fee, $25 should be a good number. Cover office, he says office fee, I think he's saying that simply because of every fee that we have. Every permit that we have right now has a fee.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with the one-time $25 fee. And I'm not intending for this to be like a super lengthy process for someone to go through, it's more of just communication. It's,
I do know, when I reached out to another city, they mentioned that oftentimes the fee is what gets the application completed, otherwise no one completes the application.
yeah, I mean, I don't think $25 is an unreasonable one-time fee.
That's fine, I would be okay with that. So if we wanna, did anybody have any other concerns or feedback? Cause I'll
I had circled what you.
I mean, I would motion to approve 2025-92, adding a one-time fee of $25 to the initial permit verbiage.
Yeah, I would second that.
Okay, it's been
20,
moved.
with the $25 one-time permit fee.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution 2025-92. To a vote, Councilperson Basky,
Yes.
Councilperson White,
Yes.
Councilperson Bendel.
Yes.
Item E, review deputy clerk, utility billing clerk job description and an application. And consider resolution 2025-93, approving the proposed job description for the city deputy clerk, utility billing clerk.
The things you had highlighted were those things that you were not sure if it should be in there, or things you were questioning, just wanted feedback on.
I wanted feedback on, so the first item that I highlighted, the paid time off. Currently, because of the resolution and the handbook not being complete that we're working on right now, the current resolution, that would be the wage and benefit resolution, does not offer the paid time off until after an employee has been here over a year. I feel that that is an old practice. I feel it's difficult to get someone in here who is qualified. I believe somebody that comes in to any position really should have paid time off. So I did highlight that. And I don't know, I would have to maybe ask, I believe that that could be something as simple as just an amendment to the wage and benefit resolution for that, since there's only 3 of us in that area, plus reserves, so that was my first one that I highlighted.
What is flexible work schedule mean? What was the intent of that?
That is just
Because we don't
highlighted
have-
because
do
it
we?
is, it is a
We have
sample
set
that
hours.
has been, yes, that has been shared, and most of those samples that I collected do say flexible work hour or flexible work schedule.
Almost, I
However-
kind of agree, I would strike that, I feel like it's a little misleading. I mean, when I think flexible, I'm thinking like, come and go, help set your own hours kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
Work from home?
Yeah, I don't know if that's really this.
I highlighted that because it doesn't reflect our current practice. Under, I think it's page 3, under essential skills. I highlighted this one because, several of cities are, putting in here that they could possibly obtain the Iowa Municipal Clerk certification, within 3 years. I know Center Point just recently did this one because they just hired here this last, summer, fall. And they did put that in there, so I think that they did one of those things where maybe they hired the person at $21 per hour, whatever it was, and then upon, successful completion of the municipal clerk certification classes, there was some kind of a raise, I believe. I don't have that right in front of me, like maybe they went up to $22 an hour, I don't know.
Is this something they could do online, or they have to go to?
So it's both. So I'm currently doing these classes. Melissa also was taking some of the classes. Typically how the institute works is usually in the fall, it's on site. In the summer, over the summer it's on site, and winter is, which is the 3 days that I just completed, was remote. I'm assuming they maybe do that for weather so that dates don't get canceled. So the 3 days that I spent in clerk certification just last week was online. So I highlighted that one because it's not something that we had, but there was previous conversations about clerk certification. The classes are very specific to city government, city budgeting, city software, city law, government law. Very good. The 3 days that I just spent were policies, procedures, administrative law and procedures, and it was so good I forgot it.
That's fine, I don't have a problem leaving it in there, I don't know that we need to tie any benefit to it right now, but I think it helps reduce risk and, errors, so I think it's good.
The drug screen, is that a one-time?
I highlighted that one because we do not have that in the employee handbook. We have it for people that are driving city vehicles, which is really the Public Works Department, and I believe it's on there for police and reserve, because they drive city vehicles, but I don't believe there's anything in there that has drug screening for the other employees that don't require
I
driving.
don't know that we really, as we went through the handbook, that was something we really defined yet. I would say strike it at this point, would be my opinion, until we determine if that's something that long-term going forward we would require.
And then the pay range, which is on the last page of the description. I highlighted that. I basically looked at, I put out on ClerkNet, which is a resource across the state of Iowa. I asked specifically for clerks to respond that had a population of 3,000, 2,000 or less, and full-time employee for deputy clerk. I attached a spreadsheet. I think I had 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 that responded, unless I can't see very well. And so I included those wage salaries in there. I know it also says based on experience, so I just simply left the range as it was.
When we talk range, we're talking starting wage range, or are we talking?
Well, just
Oh,
in the
the
job
position.
description, the 21 to 26.
That's, yeah,
Yeah,
Kinda back
it
to
kind
me.
of goes back to my question about, is that like the pay range for that position? So once we get to that 26,
You're at 100%.
you're capped.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, that was my question too, like what was that? So like someone, let's say we get a candidate who has been a clerk for 10 years, they have the qualifications. Are you saying that we potentially could offer them a starting rate of 26? Is that what
Possibly.
you're talking here? But
That
then,
is, but that does not take into consideration, Amanda, the conversation that we just had 2 weeks ago, where we talked about if we were to move to kind of a merit type pay. I believe then that this position would then be reevaluated again, just like all the other positions, city administrator, public works, police chief would all be evaluated again in looking through the specific lens of like merit pay, which would include where you were talking about capping a salary. None of that work has been done, so I think it would be fairly premature to say that we wouldn't have to come back to this if we were moving to a system like that.
I guess where I'm struggling on the pay a little bit, and I know you provided some of the details on other towns, but the starting pay range is higher than what we're paying right now.
Correct, and that is also because, the qualifications are different than what they were when, so I believe the previous one was high school diploma. I would like to see that we could possibly do a resume to get someone that may have an AA, or I don't know that we could, I mean, if somebody potentially has a BA, but look at some of those work experience plus, school. I think that for fiscal year 26, right now in the budget, Melissa would have been at a little over $20 an hour.
I guess my thought is, based on what you found, the range, I'd rather have it say 18 to 24, and start there. I think 21 to 26 is too high for this position right now. We don't even really, we're still working on the budget, to be honest, and it's not clear what that's gonna even show us yet, so I'd hate to post a position that's.
I understand both sides, but to be fair to Melissa, it wouldn't be right to bring someone who's right off the bat to make more than what she was making.
Unless
Well,
they have higher
Well,
qualifications.
that's true.
But I also respectfully think 18 is too low, and I say that only because, you know, Melissa was only here 2 years, and she's at, you know, $20. I don't know comparatively with, other than reaching out to other deputy clerks, you know, Centerpoint right next to us, bringing someone in at $22. I think we need to be competitively. I think this Monona, Iowa at $18. I think we also need to look there that position is a full-time position, but they also, for a population of 1,471, they have a full-time deputy clerk and a utility clerk. So they've actually split the position that we're actually making one position. They've split it into $18 an hour for the deputy clerk, $20 an hour for utility clerk, and we're putting that into one position. So I think we need to consider that when we look at the $18.
Well, you go to Hardee's and start out on your $18 from McDonald's.
Yeah, well, we're not Hardee's in McDonald's, so.
That's true.
I think we need to stick with the 18 to 24. If it doesn't lend us any, qualified applicants, we can reassess, but I don't wanna start out at that, in my opinion, that level for that position. I mean, yeah, that's where I think it should be. So as far as the time off is concerned, if nobody else has any comments on the pay range, I think, yeah, not having any take time off for a year is, that's not reasonable.
Yeah,
So I don't know if we wanna say, because paid time off is all, it's vacation or sick time, right? We're just getting, or do we have sick
No.
days?
No,
We have sick
Ours
days.
is separate.
Okay, so, I mean, I could,
I would like to change to just PTO, because it sure would make payroll a lot easier.
Yeah.
Right.
But that also, I think, is something that is still in the employee handbook.
Yeah, I agree, I think that's a pretty outdated practice
Yes.
to wait.
Why don't you just make it a 90-day probationary period, then give them,
That's outdated too, I mean, you start a position and most of it is you get a week or you start accruing PTO on day one, so I'd like to see an amendment to our wage and benefits.
And I do believe ours is 10 days. So, like, right now, after the year, so it's 2 weeks, it's 10 days, yeah.
you get like 80 hours right out. It's a monthly accrual.
No, the vacation is out of the gate, the sick leave is the accrual. You accrue the sick leave every month. Which is, I think, I wanna say like 14 days. Does that sound maybe right? When we have 26 payrolls bi-weekly,
Yeah,
something like that. So the sick right now, as this is an accrual, and I believe for 2 weeks, which essentially is 10 days. For this position, because our position is only Monday through Friday, it's not overtime.
so time off right now is just automatic, but you have to lock it. And
No,
sick time
We
is-
don't,
not right now.
not right now for Melissa's position. It was once you are a full-time employee, it was that you needed to wait
Well,
a year.
right,
Which that, like we discussed during the, employee handbook meeting as well as the wage and benefit, that has not been changed for several years and it should have been.
and your sick time is an accrual.
It accrues each month at each pay period.
Yeah, I think 10 days is fine. I think that's fair.
Generally, pretty much most places are going to that now.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Most places are going to that right now.
Did we have other questions regarding the job description?
The only thing I was thinking, and I think you covered it, I mean, anytime you put, essentially other duties unassigned, right? It's kind of in there, but I didn't see anything about the, like, city hall rentals. Is that something we need to kind of add in there? I don't know if, is that position somebody that gets contacted outside of normal business hours during those rental times if something happens during the building?
Oh, so number 2, are you talking about community center?
Did I miss it? Did I miss
Well, no, I actually, the initial one that I sent out via email, we forgot the community center.
Okay.
And then
Yes.
I added
Thank
it
you.
and resent it to an updated one, sorry. So yes, so we
Yeah, so
did,
I think
I
yours
did
we
not,
covered
I
it.
did not include something in there after hours, but essentially, we do get alarms here often. Melissa was the person that had to be contacted, I believe. In the past, like if you were to look at our public works, not public works, but the current wage and benefit resolution, we had this discussion where it's considered a call-in. And if it were paid overtime, which has never been used by, like, as paid overtime for the deputy clerk, but an opportunity to earn comp time. But it's written that way, that if there is an alarm, if there is garbage piled up, those types of things, if somebody contacts us during the weekend to let us know that this was not picked up or whatever, yeah, then essentially one of us has to come in. I know Gary's even come in on the weekends when he's contacted by Benton County for the alarms being on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that, I think you covered it in the community center portion. I think, you know, obviously just as we go through interviews and hiring process, that this would be something to call out. Otherwise, I didn't have anything else.
I did include, we do not have an updated city application. I did ask Centerpoint if they had one that they were willing to share, which is actually very similar to the one that if you hit Google for it, it comes up. So I did include a sample of an employment application here for all of you. And then the last item that I included in this packet was an ad. So if we could discuss, apply right now, and get somebody in here right now.
Yeah, usually when you give, 30 days to receive applicants, or, cause it's gonna hit, I mean, they don't even send a live wire out anymore, are you gonna put it on like all the,
Yeah, where are you
where are you gonna,
I was hoping, so we can put it
the times?
in the live wire, but,
There's
there's
not
not
going out
one anymore.
anymore, there's,
so there's Cedar Valley Times that we use for legal as well as Event Eagle. We have the city's website. We also have city social media, and then we also have the Benton County social media that we are allowed to use that's for the Benton County development. So like if we have any announcements that we wanna put, it just hits a larger area probably.
need a city, maybe.
I would say
Another-
League of Cities.
Then
League
your
of
three
Cities.
posting sites too, so.
Yeah, kind of.
We could pay money and have it posted on Indeed. I know that Centerpoint posted on Indeed for their position.
Those are usually pretty,
I've heard that they kind of do a spam response with that, there's,
the best.
I don't know, are we on LinkedIn?
No, I don't believe the city is on LinkedIn. Do you want the city on LinkedIn?
Not necessarily.
I would say let's start with our,
Start with, start with.
yeah, I mean,
I'll stay away from Indeed and Link for now.
Stay away from what?
Indeed and Link.
yeah.
Stay away from those ones.
I think you need to give 30 days, I know it seems like a long time, but it takes people to get their resumes together and all of that, and it's not a overnight process, I would say, so. You wanna give everybody a chance, or if someone's on vacation and they gotta, or, you know. That's my take, but maybe that's too long, I don't know, usually you wanna give everybody an opportunity to.
For what?
Have resumes and applications submitted by, what's today, the 12th, maybe by March 15th, March 10th or something like that, I don't know, what's the.
Our next, well, I think we should look at like our next city council meeting is March 12th. I don't know if that makes a difference. The April meeting would be,
The 8th,
March 12th.
or 9th,
April 9th is,
I would propose either March seventh or March tenth, and then we would have an update of how many applicants you had on the 12th at our regular scheduled meeting. I don't know, I mean, I would assume interviewing wise then could take place following with the proposal for shooting for the April meeting. Unless we did any special meetings in between there.
okay, so you're saying application deadline March 10th?
March tenth is a Monday, the Monday before our regular scheduled meeting. March seventh is the Friday before.
I would say Monday, March
But the Friday before, we would have our
Packets.
packets.
But when you say March seventh,
I mean, it's gonna be end of day,
Yes.
so,
End of the day, yeah, by that point.
so either way,
So I would just do Monday.
that gives them a weekend in there in case they wanna work on it over the weekend and turn it in Monday.
And then you're saying that potentially interviews would happen before the April 9th meeting? Is that what you said?
That would give a month before our April 9th meeting to have that done and potentially have an applicant
To approve.
to approve at the April meeting.
And then a person potentially getting then a 2-week notice, so now we're looking at maybe end of April, May for somebody in here? Is that what I'm?
best case scenario. I mean, you can't fast track it unless you
No.
wanna do a temporary contract type work, or if you go out to like the contractors of the world and say, I need we need.
I have had people reach out to me already that they would be willing to contract.
I mean, I guess if we need to do that, to keep up, I think we
Yeah,
should, we
I think
could
it's
certainly,
important that
certainly we did that when, whenever that was, before you came on board, we had to do that. We had help from, Centerpoint, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess if that's what we need to do, then we need to have that discussion, but I mean, if there's other things that,
Possibly, I mean, we are right in the middle of budget right now.
So I would say that we should explore that then. So if we
I
can-
have had, someone reach out that would be willing to do she's a deputy clerk here in the surrounding area that would be willing to help. Especially the biggest thing is the utility billing right now is really big. I have the, meters person that does the training is coming on, of course, February 19th, which we do the billing then on the 20th. So, that's just a big piece of it.
So can we figure, I can't remember how we did that with Mitch
have
took
we
care of
asked,
that.
have we asked Melissa if she'd be interested in contracting?
She can, it would be after hours. I do have someone else who is a city clerk, that would be willing to also. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if that, to me, the utility billing is probably the biggest, I would agree with that's the biggest piece here.
When does that get really busy? Usually like at the end of the month, like the 20th?
Well, I mean,
Like the.
when you say busy, I feel like that's a bit of a loaded question because the office is a 2-person office. So like,
Well, I mean,
we're,
to meet the needs of getting the bills done.
yes, so those readings typically start like on the 19th. So we've already reached out. He's going to be here on the 19th. Then, typically, yes, the readings then, once I learn the entire process, could happen on the 20th. And then from the 20th to when bills go out. There's multiple billing registers that are done to ensure we're also doing knee-deep in meter changeouts. So all of the meter changeouts need to be done before the bills can be done. So just,
I mean, so So, do the meter change outs, maybe this is my ignorance, do the meter change outs have to happen right now?
Well, we have a lot of meter change outs, so, I mean, those aren't, they take time. And I've been able to keep up with them. I mean, I'm going to stay up in the office. If it means that I continue to work till 7:30 at night, I will, because the only person that damages is myself. So I can't let this office get behind, so I will work more hours like I already have been doing. I'm going to continue to do that. If it works in Melissa's schedule that she can come, I mean, the thing to remember there, she's also learning a new job that she's going into, that she starts. But I would definitely like to have the permission to, if I have to ask the other utility clerk that's reached out to me to help in a situation, I would obviously like to be able to pay that person an hourly wage of
Yeah, I think that,
whatever.
we did
That we
that,
just agreed upon, which is a similar contract that we did with Sarah at Center Point when she came on.
let's do that.
Yeah, because I mean, we can't get behind with utility billing, and I don't like the idea of other things, like just stopping, because it essentially just falls back to me anyway, so.
Yeah, I think my comment was only like, you know, when things like this happen, you adapt, and some things get put on hold, and they get pushed out, and that was my only
Right.
comment.
Yep, and I have done that. I have a couple things. I talked to Gary daily about, that which I can control. And we just go from there. It's important, I feel, to get someone in here that's qualified, and so I understand, you know, the process takes longer. It's also city government. I get it, it takes longer.
Heck, if you get someone in there in that, I would be, that's great, because it takes me 6 to 9 months to fill positions, so.
Right. Right,
Awesome if we can get it by April.
right.
I see, yeah, we definitely need to get out for it.
Yeah.
So is the council in agreement to get somebody up here to at least get this billing and stuff done and help around here until?
I think it's the inquiry, and I think, I mean, when we did that with Sarah, we still had to approve the contract, didn't we?
Which I feel that we will have some meetings coming up here, I believe, that there's an opportunity for that. I'm going to learn the process of the entire utility billing. I've already been doing the training modules for that because I didn't come in doing that position. So I have been working through the training modules. And then again, Dan will be here to do further training. Luke is helping me with that. He does all the meter reads on the handheld. I say meter reads, but those are, the majority of them are done electronically. I do not want to like halt per se the meter changeouts, and the reason I say that is because that's essential, I feel, to the efficiency of that process, because it's the new meters that we want in that makes the life here easier, because it's auto reads, the data hits the handheld on the street, nobody has to go physically and read those. And that efficiency is what's going to keep this office moving efficiently, so I am staying up on those, and yeah, I feel like if I get to a place, Gary will know. I will be finding Sarah's contract, and we will look at that, to see if we can get somebody just
Yeah, I think put feelers
on a
out,
PRN, yeah.
get that to us, and we can go from there, but yeah, I don't disagree, I think we need to make that piece.
Well, let's go back to the wage, pay range. I don't know if that's, I'd like to nail that down so we can get this, and so she can post this probably by Friday, right? You wanna get it as soon as you can.
As soon as I can.
So. Let's take, I'm really of the opinion 18 to 24, not because I don't think, basically because I feel like that's all we can afford as a community. We are not a wealthy community that can afford to be paying people premium salaries, out the gate. So I think those, I know 18 sounds a little low, but it is what it is. If somebody comes in and they're really qualified, we don't pay them 18, we pay them a little more, but the higher you start them at, the faster they're, we don't have a ton of growth in the community to help with that. And even though it's utility billing, you still have to pay out of your sewer and your water. Those are things that we all pay for every month. So just because it's out of that different fund doesn't mean you're not paying it. So that's my opinion. I'd like to get yours, or we can move forward with what's in here if you disagree. So
Current range is, would you say 18 to 24?
I'm proposing 18 to 24 as the pay range.
Right now, it's what, 19?
Well, she has 21 to 26 written
Yeah,
down.
but the current salary is 19.
It would be 20. Would be
Right,
like
I think
20,
I think it's
20%.
1943 or something, and then at 26 was 20.
So 3%, wasn't it going to be 21?
It was
No, it was going to be just over 20.
like 20 and some change.
Okay.
20 of 01.
I don't disagree with what you've said, Jeff, at all. I would like to start, I mean, I don't know that, I'd like to start on the lower end. I don't have a strong preference of the 18 to 24, but I definitely think 21 to 26 is too high, so I mean, if we're gonna throw something out there, then yeah, 18 to 24.
I mean, some of that stuff falls in this range if you get someone qualified person.
I mean, if you want to keep the top end at 26, but the lower end at 18, I don't know. It really varies. It depends on what the qualifications are. But I really have a hard time with somebody coming in and starting at 25.
I would agree with the 18 to 24.
Yeah, I think we put it in here as 18 to 24, and if we need to negotiate beyond that, we can at that time, but I
Right.
don't think we want to start there by any
Yeah.
means.
Doesn't mean we
I
can't.
don't think we really can at this point.
So, the wages is what we want to change in this, and also go to the,
Pay time
PTO.
off. Pay time off 10 days.
Taking out the flexible schedule, right?
Take out flex schedule. Remove drug screening.
I think I have it all.
So with that said, I'll motion to approve 2025-93. The changes requested.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-93. We'll vote. Councilperson Light,
Yes.
Councilperson Basky,
Yes.
Councilperson Benville.
Yes.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second. The motion.
Then moved and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
We're out of here.